Your hideout provides amazing utility when crafting items for tasks, ammo, and even armor, but it can also give you great bonuses and can make you passive money while you're in raid. And it can do all of this with very little work on your behalf because I do all the calculations and grunt work for you. For those of you that have seen my videos in the past, we're going to change gears here a little bit. And instead of doing all the modules in one video, I'm going to break these out into separate videos for the module. This will allow me to break up some of the repetition, get into some more detail, and give you some more tips specific with each module and the crafts that are inside of it. So with the Workbench being one of my favorite stations and the one that can honestly make you some of the most money, we'll go through it first. And for those of you that don't want to sit through the whole video, I'll give you the TLDR version of it right here. The 5 best crafts right now are wires, Eagle gunpowders, which are the green one, capacitors, printed circuit boards made from DVDs, and vogs. Now, I order these based on profit per hour, so you get the most bang for your buck for the time spent crafting. These are also calculated using flat flea market fees, so with no level 3 intel center or any reductions. That means that once you do get the level 3 intel center and you level up your hideout skills a little bit, you're going to make even more money with these crafts. Now, with most things in the Tarkov economy, the more that somebody does it, the less it's worth. So if a bunch of people are crafting wires, you're going to see the value of wires go down. That's why I want to provide you some alternates and some ways that you can still make money when everybody else isn't. So starting with wires. What I do is I check power cords now and again, you know, when I'm waiting on a raid for a buddy or whatever, and I buy them when they're below 12K. Sometimes I find them as low as 11, 10, even down into like 9.5K. People are selling them for that. And I just buy up however many there are. Sometimes I get 1 or 2, sometimes it's like 5 to 10. This just means I always have power cords that I can use to craft wires. And with buying them that low, that means I'm going to make about 13K per hour on this craft, and that's only selling wires at 7,000 rubles. If you start pushing 8, 9, 10, or even later in wipe, which I'm hoping for, sell them for 12K, you're going to make much, much more, obviously. But that's kind of ridiculous, hanging on to a bunch of wires for a long time. It eats up a bunch of space, spends a lot of money, but do what you want to do. Don't follow my advice necessarily. I do some dumb stuff all the time. I'm going to throw this grenade past you if you want to push it, all right?
He's got a flashlight on. Don't do it. Don't.
Oh!
He's watching it.
I threw the grenade. He shot me. I'm an idiot. Don't throw grenade, AWM pulls pin. It's literally how it went down, dude. Don't throw the grenade. Chink. Now, green gunpowder is a great craft for 2 reasons. 1, it makes you pretty good money. But 2, it's a very easy craft to manage. You don't have to shop around for parts. You just buy up the M67s off of Peacekeeper, assuming you have Spot 2 or Part 2 done, of course, and the smoke grenades off of Proper, unless you're seeing them things like this cheaper than the vendors. But you can buy those at a fixed price, they never change, and then you craft over and over and over again. Then you just worry about selling your green gunpowder at a higher price. Eagle is stabilized, but you can push 50 to 51K on your sales most evenings. If you list for 49K, you're gonna run about 12K an hour on this craft, so it's still pretty good even at that lower rate, but it's not too hard to push 51 or 52 like I was saying. Now, capacitors provide another opportunity to make a lot of money if you're very careful with how you buy your components. If you shoot for 25K on your PSUs, 6,000 rubles on your red screwdrivers, and then aim to sell your crafted capacitors at about 12K or higher, you're gonna make a lot of money here. Over 25K an hour. But keep in mind, this is a very fragile craft, and it doesn't take but a few people buying up PSUs to push these into 30, 40, and even 50K, especially when you get a whole bunch of people trying to do their Bitcoin farms. Sometimes it's hard pressed to get 10K for your capacitors, or even find your PSUs under 30K, but as long as you're always shopping for cheap parts, this craft is always available. Now, this circuit board craft is one of the crafts I'm always doing, because it's great for leveling your hideout skills. And that's what I'm doing it for. I grind this over and over, and I alternate it with magnets, because those are 2 fast crafts. If you want to see more on that, go check out my video on how to level your skills. It'll explain that in a little bit more detail. But as far as making money, these circuit boards still fit into the category of good money. It's pretty straightforward. Try to get your DVD drives for less than 7K and your screwdrivers for less than 7K. And then every second or third day, I'll sell all of my circuit boards for anywhere from 13 to 15K. If you stick with those basic prices, you're going to push over 17K an hour with this craft. Now, the 5th craft I have here is vogs, the grenade you can craft at the level 1 workbench. And like capacitors, if you're very frugal with how you buy your components, you can make a ton of money here. I shoot for fuses under about 8K and grenades for 10K or less. And then once it's crafted, I aim to sell the grenades in big stacks for at least 19K. And doing that, I see north of 26K an hour with this craft, which is a really, really good money in the hideout right now. And then the last craft I want to mention, it was kind of outside of the first ones, is the single most profitable craft you can craft in the hideout. This is outside of the rubles per hour deal. This is the single biggest hit of profit you can make regardless of the time to craft. And the reason this is important, because when you log off for the day or if you're going to be gone for a while, this is the way to get the most bang for your buck. The rubles per hour thing only works if you're constantly grinding out and you're redoing your crafts between each raid. And this craft is the 7.62 by 39 BP ammo. If you can get your kite gunpowders, the blue ones, for less than 12k, and snipe those green gunpowders, the eagles, for a 45k, then sell your BP rounds for over 1,000 per round, you're going to clear nearly 75k in profit here. Again, with a base level intel center. It's much more once you start getting level 3 intel and getting your hideout better. Now, there are dozens of other crafts in here. And if you find one that I didn't mention that's a niche, that's awesome. It's probably better because I didn't mention it and ruin it for you. But that's the key here. Find a craft that you know really well. Maybe it has components on a map you run all the time. Something along those lines where you know what the prices are, and you can buy them when they're cheap and sell them when they're high. That is how you're going to make the most money in the hideout. And that's what I do. I buy most of my components when they're cheap. I throw them in a Lucky Scav junk box, and then I save what I craft until I have a big stack of them, and I sell those for inflated prices because they can sit on the flea market for longer. But keep in mind, I have 4 Lucky Scav junk boxes, and that's extreme for most people. I do this because 1, I find it fun to play around in the market and try to beat the market and do stuff like this. And 2, because I create content for you guys and I need to be able to experiment and have lots of components to do that with. But that might not be for you. Do what works best for your schedule and how you want to play the game. All right, so that wraps it up. I hope this was helpful for you guys. You're actually watching this after the Patreons did. They get first whack at this for a little while. It's kind of a bonus I get for their support. They get to see this stuff and take advantage of it before everybody else does. So a shout out to those guys. It's always great to have their support. They make a lot of this possible. They're a big part of the reason why you've seen a huge uptick in our production value of these videos over the last couple of weeks. Their support makes that possible for me. So good luck with your crafting, and we'll see you in Tarkov. In Tarkov, a small detail that many people either overlook or don't know about is how durability can affect your flea market fee. Now, durability doesn't just apply to armor and weapons. So, for example, a golden star that has 10 uses, that is also durability. And when I'm going through the flea market, I